afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Career Readiness Power Hour, Level Up Your Job Search. I am Liz Lamping, PHRA's Executive Director, and I'll be your host for this exciting session designed to give you the insider tools and confidence to stand out in today's competitive job market. Whether you're getting ready to graduate or exploring your next step, this hour will help you refine your strategy, sharpen your presentation, and build meaningful connections that will last. Today's webinar is all about practical real-world insights. You'll learn from our 4 incredible professionals who have helped countless job seekers navigate their careers successfully. So here's what we will cover today. Using AI in your job search with Kat Rector, interview skills with Patrick Gilchrist, networking with Diane Hauser, and LinkedIn mastery with Tammy Schmidt. Each speaker brings a wealth of experience, and you'll walk away with actionable tips that you can put to use right away. So let's get started with our first expert speaker, Kat Rector, as we dive into how AI can supercharge your job search. So Kat is a strategic IT engagement manager with Staffmark Group and a true career strategist who helps job seekers build tailored toolkits for success. Beyond her corporate role, Kat is deeply involved in the tech community. She sits on multiple technology boards in Austin, Texas, and founded Austin Tech Events, a networking hub that connects professionals and employees across industries. Today, Kat will show us how to use AI tools to uncover opportunities, polish your applications, and gain a competitive edge. So please join me in welcoming Kat Rector to the virtual screen.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Liz, for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here today. I've had the pleasure of working with leaders and college grads to the C-suite on coaching them for their job search. A big difference we've had recently is the addition of AI. Liz, if we can hop to the next screen, I'm really excited to share some of the tools and tricks that I've been able to bring to the local communities that I support. The first one I really want to look at, especially for people that are younger in their career. If you're not exactly sure what you want to do, or you're looking at a larger bucket of job opportunities, let's say project management, and you don't really know how to tailor that down, or maybe you don't even know what area you want to go into, using AI is a huge asset for this area. I would recommend finding your AI of choice and populating your skill sets, the things that you're really good at, the things that you've done previously, whether it's been college, whether it's been volunteering, any experience that you have and any skill sets that you have. Could be organization, strong communication, technical writing, whatever you're good at. Put those into the AI and ask it to help you identify potential jobs. Even if you have an area, let's say again, project management, that you know you want to go into, help it refine that. Look at different industries. Look for additional job titles that are similar to expand your search. The other thing I recommend doing is working with it to help you identify your superpowers. So one example that I give, it's kind of a silly one, is I could be really good at making tacos, and I love making tacos. Making tacos is a superpower. That doesn't mean it's applicable to my job search, but it's something I need to know about myself. A more realistic one is I am extremely organized and I love throwing parties. That's event management, right? There's so many different directions you can go. So looking at yourself from a 360 view and having an AI actually guide you through that process. Ask it to walk you through a series of questions to help you discover potential career pathways for yourself. We're going to get in very heavily to resume and LinkedIn profiles. We have someone actually talking about LinkedIn profiles today, but going through the resume that we're going to do in the next slide is going to give you the foundation that you can also use to optimize your LinkedIn too. So we'll get into that in a second. The other thing I want to really focus on is taking a look at your elevator pitch. So most people think of this as your, being in sales. What am I selling? That's not it at all. When you're on the job market, you're kind of selling why you're the best candidate, why people should think of you, why they should hire you, what value you would bring to an organization. So creating an elevator pitch, like an effective one, is very challenging. It takes people a lot of time and a lot of refinement. AI is going to simplify this for you significantly. What I recommend you do is go into your AI of choice and put in a little bit of information about yourself. Let's use the project management example. I'm a project manager. I do these kind of projects, and these are the kind of things that I've done in the past. Now have it structure it in I am project manager. I do this type of work for business value. That business value is really going to be your differentiator. Your elevator pitch is going to change quickly. It's going to change based on the goal that you have for that situation, the person you're talking to, and then the room and the situation that you're in. You're going to have a different elevator pitch walking into a networking event versus an interview, or talking to a leader versus a peer, and then the goal of making new connections versus landing a job. So letting AI tailor that and give you a bunch of different iterations is a huge time saver, and it will help you think in more creative ways than sometimes getting stuck in a rut and saying the same thing over and over. With portfolio and Storybox, I know Patrick's going to dive into job interview tips. If you've done interviews before and prepared for them, I recommend the PAR and STAR method. He's going to get into that. So the PAR method, the STAR method of building up all these cool stories about yourself, that's your story box. I recommend everyone kind of builds these out, even if you're not actively looking. Take really cool projects you've done. You want to be able to tell a good story. PAR is the one that I use most heavily. Problem, action, result. So you're going to want to just information dump that into an AI. And then I want you to pull data, numbers. It could be percentage, it could be timeline, it could be success ratio, whatever that's looking at. I want you to put that in and have it help you write a PAR method story or a STAR, whichever your preference is. Build that out for the most common interview questions and also just things that would apply to the future jobs that you want to apply for. That story box is going to be the foundation of your portfolio. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. At least have it on a Word doc or a like a OneNote app, somewhere that you can easily access it and continue to update that. If you're new to networking, I also recommend using AI in that area as well. If you're a pro, it's probably not going to be as valuable. But if you're new to networking, asking AI what kind of data groups are in my area, what project management groups are in my area, what creative artist groups are in my area. Ask it those kind of things. It can also help find like national groups that might be virtual, chat rooms, things like Slack channels or WhatsApp groups to help support for your job search. And then finally, I'm not going to dive into this one too much, but creating content for like LinkedIn is a huge one, but also revising just your cover letter, your portfolio as you get there, things like that. So now we're going to back up. We're going to head to the next slide and dig into how to optimize your resume with AI. I've been doing this exercise for many years before the time of AI, and you'll see why it's called red highlighter, green highlighter here in a second. But what I want you to do is pick one job title. Like we're going to go back to project management again. Let's say I'm picking project management. I'm going to go online and find 5 to 6 job descriptions that sound really interesting to me, jobs that I actually want to apply for. I want you to download those, copy, paste, put those all in your AI of choice. And I want you to ask the AI, find me the top skills, requirements, nice to haves, qualifications that would make me a good fit for these jobs. Have it compile that list into one single list across the 5 or 6. Next, I want you to pull in your resume. Whatever one you have is fine. I want it to be honest and realistic. Pop that in and ask for an areas of alignment and areas of gaps. Okay. What it's going to do is provide those 2 lists for you. Areas of alignment is going to be the green highlighter. That's fantastic. That lets you know that you're on the right track. The areas of gaps are going to be a red highlighter, the areas that you need to focus on. Now, your red highlighter is going to fall into 2 different types of things that you'll get pulled out. One is going to be the easy fix category, and I love those. That's things like communication, organization, leadership. Some of those are easy because you have them, you just didn't put them on your resume. So I want you to put those on your resume first. Those are the easy wins. The next you're going to have are those harder to achieve things like 5 years experience. You can't magically make that happen, right? Knowing that that's a gap is going to tell you, are these types of jobs that I'm looking at realistic for me to get today? They can help you benchmark where you actually sit. You're also going to get things like education or certifications. I call those the relatively achievable, depending on what it is, bucket. So with things like that, I want to pause and address really quickly how an applicant tracking system works when you submit a resume. It's all based on keywords. Keywords are those jobs that we pulled out. So the areas of gaps that came out, for example, for a project manager, if I need PMP, the tracking system is literally just going to see if I have PMP written on my resume. It's just a keyword finder, Control F. So for the gaps that you are in the process of addressing, education is usually the most common here. We're going to use my magic word, which is pursuing. If you're actually pursuing it, this is the magical little way to tell the truth, be honest, and pop for the keywords. I said that twice, but honestly tell the truth that you are developing these skills while being realistic that you're not an expert in them. So, for example, I would put pursuing my PMP. Here's my estimated date of getting it. That's where I would start. That's going to help you pull for those keywords to be the top 10 candidates, which are the most important for landing the job, while also balancing being honest and showing personal growth and soft skills as well. So that's where I would start. Use AI for all of this just to make yourself more efficient and effective in your search.
All right, thank you, Kat, for sharing how AI can transform the way we approach job searching, from finding the right roles to refining our resumes and our cover letters. So now that we've learned how to identify opportunities, let's talk about how to shine once we land that interview. So our next speaker today is Patrick Gilchrist, Vice President of Professional Services for Staffmark Group. Patrick brings over 20 years of experience in staffing, recruitment, and business management. He's known for leading large sales teams, driving growth across multiple markets, and developing talent that thrives under his leadership. With an MBA from Robert Morris University and an undergraduate degree from the University of Richmond, Patrick is a passionate mentor and community leader who believes in empowering professionals to achieve their full potential. Today, Patrick will share with us how to showcase your strengths, build confidence, and tackle tough interview questions with ease. So please welcome Patrick Gilchrist to the virtual screen.
Thank you, Liz. Hello, everyone. As Liz mentioned, today we're going to learn how to prepare for, perform in, and follow up to an interview. So let's go to the next slide. Whether you are interviewing for a part-time job to help pay the bills while you're in school, or you are preparing for your first postgraduate career opportunity, interview skills are essential. So think of interviews not just as Q&A sessions, but as a chance for you to showcase your value, also your personality, and your readiness to grow in whichever role you're interviewing for. And in order to become good, you've got to prepare and practice. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. For the next slide, we must think about when an employer interviews you, they're looking beyond your resume. Your resume is what got you to where you are right now. They want to know, do you have the skills, the motivation, and the personality that fits in with their team? So being aware of this can help you prepare to show more than just your qualifications when you're responding. So you're going to want to have stories. That was the story box that Kat just talked about. I love that. Love that concept. You're going to want to have stories from your life and your work experience prepared to share that will incorporate these factors and help you answer questions. Next slide, please. So as I've already mentioned a couple different times, preparation is your secret weapon. So preparing for an interview, you're going to want to learn a few facts about the company, understand the role specifically that you're interviewing for, of course, but then ultimately, the biggest thing that you have the control over is knowing your own story. Walking into an interview prepared also helps calm your nerves. I know it's nerve-wracking. You're going to be nervous. Your hands will be sweaty. It's just like an exam. I'm sure everyone on this meeting has, entered an exam well prepared and ill prepared. You certainly know which scenario you're more nervous in. So here's what you do. So this is your task. So you take your resume and you think of scenarios and stories with ROIs, that's return on investment, or something tangible that you helped create or achieve. So you think about these stories and write them down with as much detail as possible, sort of like answers to essay questions. You're going to study them, you're going to want to know them. So Kat already mentioned the PHRA, which is awesome. I wasn't really familiar with that. So problem, action, result, very quick and to the point. The STAR, situation, task, action, result. That's the outline you're going to want to use when you're creating each of these answers. A clear structure to your story or answer makes it much more memorable. Oh, and one more thing before we move on. Hey, don't forget to dress appropriately and bring several copies of your resume. Yes, printed out copies when you go for in-person interviews. And I am still a fan for an interview of the full suit. Unless, of course, your interviewer, for some reason, would instruct you differently. Okay, moving on to the next slide. This question, tell me about yourself, goes back to what Kat mentioned about kind of your elevator pitch or your 30-second commercial. All of those concepts answer to this question. So, and it's also your first chance to kind of make an impression and guide the conversation during the interview. So instead of talking about your whole life story, talk about your work story, where you've been, what you're doing now, and where you want to go. Similar to what I just said, this question is also something you want to have written down and practice out loud. This way, I guess the more thoroughly you know the answer to this question, the more easily you're going to be able to tweak it depending on the scenario and the question and how it was posed. Okay, next slide. Very important part here. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. So you want to stay positive, even about difficult past experiences. Never trash talk or badmouth a former employer. It's just not a good look. Also, pausing for a few seconds to find the right story or answer is perfectly acceptable. I just did it. That was 4 seconds. Now, maybe to you internally when you're trying this, it may feel like an eternity. But again, as long as you don't use filler words or or it is perfectly acceptable to be calm, quiet, collect your thoughts so you can deliver the right story at the right time. Every once in a while, you may find yourself in a situation where you just don't have a story or an answer that lines up. Something that I've used in the past is I haven't faced an issue like that yet in my career, but if I did, I would. So in other words, adjust and improvise. You might not always have a story that matches up. Okay. Next slide. Interviewers notice more than just your words. They're reading your body language too. So it's very important to make eye contact, smile, and show you're listening. For in-person interviews, practice your handshake. I make my kids do it and they hate it, which actually makes me want to do it more. But as I said, you're going to practice your answers, but also a little trick that you can take on would be practice your answers sitting up in front of a mirror. That can help with the eye contact and the body language that I mentioned. These simple things can make a big difference in how confident and professional you appear during the interview. Okay. So next slide. Having questions ready shows that you're interested in the role and that you're thinking ahead. So stick to questions that show you care about doing the job well, and save things like pay and time off questions for another conversation, unless, of course, the interviewer brings them up first. One tip I recommend is to navigate a few pages deep on the company's website and pull a question or two from there. Another great tip that Diane, one of our co-presenters today, mentioned during our practice run, our dry run, is to seek out charities and social giving that a company does and maybe formulate a question or two from there. This could also give you a really quick connection to the organization. See, anyone can hit the front page of a website, but this shows that you've dove a little deeper. All right, moving on. So a quick thank you message, it's probably going to be in an email format, can make you stand out. It's a chance to reinforce why you're a great fit and keep the door open for future communication. So highly recommend the thank you note. All right. Well, just to wrap up my session, interviewing can be tough, but each interview brings you closer to the goal. Prepare, practice, and trust that you bring something valuable to the table. With the right mindset and the tools that you've learned today, we think you're well on your way, and we know you'll do great.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Those strategies for confident interviewing and communicating value are incredibly helpful for all of us here, so especially those that are stepping into their first professional roles. All right, so now it's time to explore the most powerful skills in career success, which is networking. So joining us is Diane Hauser, a seasoned HR professional who has truly seen and done it all in the world of HR. Diane's passion for HR runs deep. She believes that at its core, HR is about people and that treating every individual with respect and dignity is the foundation to great leadership. She has served as the past vice president of the Membership and Diversity Committee for the PHRA board, and she continues to give back to the HR community as a speaker, mentor, and a volunteer. Diane holds degrees from Xavier University and Robert Morris University, and certifications include the SHRM CP and a specialty credential in workplace investigations. Today, Diane will walk us through how to build meaningful, authentic connections and unlock career opportunities through networking. So please welcome Diane to the screen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane. Thanks for joining us today. It's nice to spend this time with you. I really like the topic of networking because I can tell you from my own personal experience and my kids, people I've hired, people I've been on teams with, that networking is often the way to get that interview. It may or may not get you the job, but it's going to get you the connection. And sometimes that connection moves you forward in a way that you'd be surprised at that others don't have. So networking, I think, is crucial. I want to give one more tip to what Patrick said. When you're looking at a company's website, look at the people interviewing, where they went to school and what their majors were. I've had great conversations with people who end up in fields and say, oh, I see you studied anthropology. How did you get here? It can open up a door and get you talking with someone so they remember you. But let's move on to our next slide with networking. I'm a super chatty person. I love to chat with people and talk with them. But you may be wondering, why bother to network? If you're in college, you've probably heard this repetitively. You've probably heard your parents tell you, your teachers tell you, but we're telling you for a reason. It's really, really important. And we know it makes you nervous. It makes us nervous too. It could feel like a transaction and not genuine sometimes. And sometimes you think it's just small talk. But I want you to encourage you to think of it differently. It's about making connections. It's about meeting people you may not know in your career or your field, or even in a way that's not related to you, but somehow impacts you, your future, the company you're working with, the business. It's a time to share knowledge too. It's not just about what can someone else do for you. Sometimes it's just kind of a gut check. I love going to the PHRA conferences. I love the conversations around the table saying, oh, yeah, I've heard that too. Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. Sometimes just hearing what someone else is saying gives you information and helps you in your, in your career and in your field. So I think of it as information gathering, not just from other people, but about other businesses, other regions, other locations, other things I never even thought of. I love to hear it. Sometimes I ask for feedback on what I'm doing on projects or plans from people I know or when I'm in groups, and you can get some amazing feedback under these circumstances. You can get industry insights that you may never have even thought about, that someone will say, oh, well, realtors, they're really hiring right now because they happen to know that fact. So, use these opportunities. You can learn how to navigate company culture. That's a huge skill for all of us at any stage in your career. Be working on that, because that's really, really important, regardless of what department you're in, what company, what region, anything. Navigating your own company's culture is important. Research shows again and again that people with stronger networks end up with higher salaries and more promotions. I can tell you that's an absolute fact. I've seen it time and time and time again. Often, when we're in HR, if you're studying HR, in our field, sometimes it's easy to say, oh, I know this person I worked with at another company. They're great at this and we need this. Or sometimes in HR, we just shoot it out to our networks and say, hey, do you know anybody? In fact, I have an intern working for me now that Patrick found for me through the PHRA. So he was, a key person for me there. And she's fantastic. I would love to keep her. I'm hoping it works out. I could keep her. But it's really important to do this. So let's move on to our next slide. And let's talk about how to start networking. Again, yes, I know we all have heard this, but I want to think of it just two slightly different ways, maybe. There's a book called Easy Networking Tips for the Networking Haters by Amantha Imber. I recommend taking a look at this. It's got some interesting points to it. It might be helpful to you. But I want to start with something we don't often talk about: dormant ties. So those are people you may not have reached out to in years or connected with in a very long time. These ties are likely to provide you with a really creative advice or insights or things because there's someone you've known all along. There's a little bit of trust there that maybe new connections, it hasn't been built yet. Not that it won't, but it hasn't been built yet. If you're in college or a recent graduate, something you should think about, well, all of us should think about, are the dormant ties around family, friends, colleagues from internships, fellow students, high school teams or program connections, families you used to babysit for, mow the lawn for, even your neighbors. These are dormant connections, and you shouldn't let them remain dormant. You should get in there and cultivate them a little bit. Reach out, my mom was a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout. My 3 daughters were Girl Scouts. I'll tell you, the Girl Scout network is huge. It's very real. And many, many a job have I seen talked about at day camp or things. Think about, maybe you belong to a church, to, a temple, to a synagogue, to a parish, or a faith community of some kind. Those are actually ties for you. Obviously, you're there for faith reasons. But when you're standing around chatting about things on Donut Sunday, sometimes job opportunities come up. People are looking, people are seeking jobs, they're looking to hire. You never, never, never know where you're going to find those opportunities. Don't let these chances to make connections go to waste. Use those dormant ties. People do want to connect. And if you approach it properly, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's going to be just fine. So don't be afraid to do it. Let's go on to our next slide and talk about our active ties. And these are ones we all know. Again, colleagues from internships, speakers that come to campus, get their business cards. Fellow students, sometimes someone interviews for a position and they say, oh, that's not me. Maybe that's recruiting. I don't want to recruit, but you do. So talk to them and see where they're finding, avenues to get ahead. Join professional organizations, 100%. Reach out on LinkedIn. I know Tammy's going to talk about LinkedIn. Seek out a mentor. If you're in HR, you can reach out to Liz or Catherine, who are on, on our webinar here, or to the PHRA website, and find a mentor. There are a lot of us willing to meet with you, go have a cup of coffee, talk to you about your career, what you're looking for, and help you navigate HR in Western Pennsylvania, because we have great HR here. Join a club or an organization. You never know when that person at your book club suddenly says, oh, my company's so-and-so walked off the job. They got hired by someone else, and now we don't have anybody to do whatever. You never know. Quick pro tip, most career readiness centers on college campuses will print, I think it's up to like 15 or 20 or something business cards for you for free. Go do that. Get your information on a business card and carry it with you everywhere. If you don't happen to be on campus, Vistaprint 50 cards for $10. They're a little plain, but hey, carry it with you. You never know when someone sitting next to you on a plane, on a bus, in line at the grocery store starts chatting about something. You need to connect with them. And they may not remember your LinkedIn, but if you hand them a card, they've got it. They can put it in their bag or their wallet. So I always carry mine with me. Make sure you do. Give them out like Halloween candy. Give them to anyone when you think it might be helpful to them or to you. So let's go to our next slide. So we know now our connections are both active and dormant. Hopefully we move those dormant into active, but I don't want you to think of this as transactional. It can be about learning too. Sometimes networking is just about sharing your skills and your advice and your knowledge and talking to other people, listening to other people. Sometimes that's just equally important, to hear and learn, vicariously through them, or just be there to support. It helps you to be a good human, a good citizen, a good neighbor to the people around you, and a good professional in a professional situation. So sometimes it really is just learning too. So don't think of it as having to get something out of the situation. Sometimes it's just listening and learning, and that's okay. Let's move on to our next slide. So when you're in those conversations, you're talking with people, I know we're all thinking like, cocktail banter, but I urge you to go a little bit deeper. So our first question, what do you do? That's very basic. Maybe twist that a little bit and say, what is the thing you like best about your job? Or what's the thing you secretly hate? I work at Sarah's Candies. People ask me about the chocolate all the time, and I'm happy to tell them it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So bring those kinds of questions up. Instead of what is your current role, say, what role have you had that taught you the most? What was the one that you struggled at, but you really gained knowledge from? People will dig in and they'll give you an answer. Always. I've never been in a situation that people aren't ready to share, eager to share even. Where are you from could maybe be, where have you lived or traveled? Tell me about it. What was it like? What was the best food you have? Who did you work for while you were there? You can turn basic questions into something a little bit deeper and expand those conversations and make a connection. Sometimes it's just for the fun of hearing about strange foods or strange places people are gone or businesses you never even knew existed. Having that information is never a bad thing. It's always good in some respect. Let's move on to our next slide. Just remember when you're having those conversations to be very clear about your approach. If you're just chatting with someone, chat with them. That's fantastic. That's great. If you approach someone through those dormant, hopefully now active ties, and you're asking something of them, be very clear. I know those of us in the HR profession, when people reach out to us, we want to hear, hi, I'm Susie and I'm graduating and I'm looking for a job in, data analytics. It's really helpful to us in the profession, whatever profession you're entering, to know what your ultimate goal is. Even if your goal is, I'd like to meet more people in accounting or in purchasing, whatever department you want to be in, be clear and upfront with what you want. Do not be afraid to ask for advice and help. Just be professional about it. There's a way to do that. It is very professional, and that's always respected, that people know going into conversations or in emails what you're looking for, and that's appreciated. Sometimes they can help and maybe they can't. Maybe they say, thanks so much for reaching out, but I'm not able to help now. Or actually, I know someone who can help you. Let me connect you. Take those connections and say thank you. Like Patrick told us, always say thank you. Let's move on to our last slide. Something I want you to be aware of. Don't let fear hold you back in anything in life. Don't hold back. Life lived in fear is a life half lived. Don't do that. Many of us are more than happy to send the elevator back down to the next generation. I'm getting up there in my career and I'm already looking for and planning retirement with my husband and what that's going to look like for me. That means there's room for someone else. And I want everyone else to jump into my profession. I love it. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. There are lots of people at my age and in my stage of life who want the next generation to step in, and we want to help them get going. So don't be afraid to do that. Hop on that elevator and rise right onto the top. That's where we want to see you. So last slide, if you want to connect with me, I'd love to connect with you. You can reach me. I'm at Sarah's Candies. You could also find me on LinkedIn, but I'd be happy to connect with anyone who wants to talk about anything.
All right. Thank you very much, Diane. So I did stop the screen share, Tammy. So if you want to go ahead and swap over to your slides, but thank you very much, Diane. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Diane, for reminding us that networking isn't about collecting contacts. It's about cultivating those relationships so that we can open doors and shape our career in just different lasting ways. So to close out our session today, we will look at how to bring all of these pieces together through your professional brand, especially focusing on LinkedIn. Our final speaker here is Tammy Schmidt, branch manager at Apple One Employment Services. Tammy has built a successful career in staffing and recruiting, helping job seekers across industries find the right opportunities and employers to help them build strong teams. Her expertise spans sales, management, human resources, and permanent placement, giving her a 360-degree view of what employees are really looking for. Today, Tammy is going to share with us how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, expand your professional network, and showcase your unique value to employers. So please welcome Tammy to the virtual screen.
Thank you very much, Liz. So I want to first start by why LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your professional platform to help you grow your business, your network. We talked a lot about networking. So this slide is I think is an eye-opener for a lot. 99 million unique monthly visitors. So people that are not on Indeed, they're not on Zip, they're not on Glassdoor, they're going to be on Indeed. So this is definitely the platform that you would want in building your career. So what are we looking for in a platform, on the platform? You want to build your profile. Your profile consists of different parts. Of course, your name, a little bit of information, a very friendly picture, which we're going to go into, your background image. Sometimes your background image is really important because it might help with your networking. You could put a quote, you could put your university. A lot of people like to recruit people from their current university or their alma mater. The city you live in, if you love Pittsburgh, you can use that as a backdrop image. So an image, your picture, describing your headline. What do you want people to know about you? Easy ways for people to connect. Your email. We're going to go into making sure all of your information is accurate on LinkedIn. How do we get to contact you? We're going to talk about pictures. What the don'ts of profile pictures. Bad proportions. No selfies. I know you all like to do selfies in your everyday lives. Please do not put a selfie on a LinkedIn. They want to be more professional. No images with the social situation. You're at a wedding, you're at a bar, you're at a school event. You don't want to see that background. No pets. We all love pets, but we want a picture of you. Blurry vision, blurry photos. Try to avoid those. And no distracting backgrounds. So what do we want to see? You can see in this picture examples, very professional profiles. Use a current photo. We want to see what you look like in your current day. I've seen people with LinkedIn photos from 10 years ago. Make sure they're current. Get somebody to take a picture of you. No filters. It's another one. A lot of people are using filters these days. We want to see who you are. So once again, get somebody to take a picture of you in a high resolution image. Your face should take up 60% of the frame, so you don't want it too far back, and also you don't want it too close together. Be the only person in the picture. Have someone else take the picture. Once again, no selfies. Smile. You're branding yourself. Ensure good lighting, natural background. You don't want like a very flashy background. It takes away from you. Professional attire, like Patrick said, in your interviews, business professional, that's what you want to put on your profile as well. I've seen beach pictures. They're very nice, but they're not professional. I would definitely change that. So once we get your picture, what is your headline going to be? Well, we want you to brand yourself. So you're going to put your name in there, who you are, where you're graduating from. Your first impressions last forever. Visibility and searchability. How can I search you? If I'm a Pitt grad and I want to hire somebody from Pitt, I want to be able to search your profile. And like I said, this is your brand. We talk about companies branding themselves. This is your brand on LinkedIn. What's your professional identity? And this helps with networking. Diane talked a lot about networking. So when you meet somebody in a networking event, the first place they're going to go to is your LinkedIn. Look at it for examples of some of the other students or somebody that maybe graduated 2 years ago, last year. Look at how they branded themselves. Your profile is very important. Your profile to the right-hand side, your name, your email that they can contact you, your phone number. Make sure if I want to talk to Christine, I want to make sure I know where to find her. And that's for the contact information. Also, like if you're a graphic designer and you want to put some of your own examples, you can upload a website if you wanted as well. So we have your profile picture. Now we have your profile. Now we want to put your experience. Some college grads don't think they should put something from their work history, that they waited tables, that they worked in a country club. Absolutely. Put as much work experience as you can, because we want to see what you've done. Skills are very important. Customer service, problem solving. If you did an HR internship, absolutely put that on your past work experiences. Now, if you worked for somewhere for 1 month, I would not put it on there. But if you have longevity that shows certain skill sets that's going to help you with your career, I would definitely put those past experiences on there. You'll put current position. If you link their website, just a short description of what you did, daily responsibilities. Oh, I went too fast. Daily responsibilities, because if I was a recruiter looking for someone with problem solving and I seen that was in your day-to-day responsibilities, I would absolutely connect with you. Okay, so we have your profile done. How do you maximize this? Your feed is very important. Your profile feed is where people connect, where you can follow influencers, how you join groups, and how you follow companies. If I was very interested to work for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would make sure that I'm connecting with that company. If I was an HR professional, I would look at groups that you can go in and search groups to see who you want to connect with. Old managers, somebody that was your mentor. Diane's your mentor at the PHRA. Absolutely make sure that you're going to connect with her. And then see also, who is Diane connected with? Who's Patrick? Who is Liz? Who's Catherine? Who are all these people connected with? Because I want to see if I can connect with them also. Best time to post. Okay, I want to post something because I really like what I seen from Diane. I want to post it. Best times to post: early in the mornings, midday, or late afternoon. You want to avoid weekends, evenings, and late Friday nights. Why do we think Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are best? Because people are searching at that time. Mondays and Fridays, they have other things on their calendars. It's the best time to search and post. And you can post everything. I mean, you can post something that I posted, you can repost it. The more times that you connect with people and you post, the more engaged you look on that topic. So just a few things on LinkedIn that I want to go over. Hashtags. I know everybody on this call is probably using hashtags at some point. You can use hashtags on LinkedIn. Find your Find the content of your post, the industries. What do you want to enjoy? Are you looking for an HR job? There's different hashtags that you can actually search on LinkedIn. Research, pay attention to popular hashtags. If I'm looking at someone that graduated last year, what are they posting? Balance, don't use too many hashtags. You don't want 10 hashtags under a post of yours. I would say 3 to 5 is probably moderate, which is a good one. And then follow topics. So if I'm looking to have a job in the HR world, you want to follow topics and interests within those. You'll see like HR Pittsburgh, staffing Pittsburgh. And I think that's the end of my presentation. So I think that with LinkedIn, you just have to be connected. Everything that we went over today, networking, resumes, and then if you connect with everybody that you speak when you're out networking, I think it's just going to increase your network ability.
Thank you very much, Tammy. That was a great reminder that your LinkedIn presence is more than just a digital resume. It's your professional brand and your story. So before we wrap up today's Career Readiness Power Hour, I do want to ask the attendees if there's any questions that you may have. Now is your chance to ask the experts any questions that you may have on anything that was addressed today. Well, if there are no questions, I do want to extend a huge thank you to our speakers, Kat, Patrick, Diane, and Tammy, for sharing all of their valuable insights and their inspiration. I know we covered a lot today: how to use AI, how to interview with confidence, how to network meaningfully, and how to leverage LinkedIn. So thank you all for joining us, and please remember to stay connected with our speakers on LinkedIn and keep an eye out for follow-up resources and future PHRA events. And on behalf of PHRA, we wish you every success as you take the next steps into the professional world. So thank you for joining us today.